I am super excited about sharing an idea that I am certain will absolutely revolutionize the entire network marketing industry. I call this idea God sponsorship. Now, you're all familiar with the idea of a sponsor. Sponsor is somebody who recruits, and the person that they sign up is their recruit. So it's a sponsor-recruit relationship. By the way, this is the most sacred relationship in network marketing, the relationship between a sponsor and their recruit. I'm going to introduce to you this idea of a God sponsor, which is different. It's not the same sacred relationship, and I'm going to talk about ethics and why it's very, very important to be ethical as a God sponsor. So what is a God sponsor? Well, you know, some churches have a practice where if you have a baby, then they'll bring in another family, another couple that will be God parents for that baby in case there's something happens to the parents of that child. So it's kind of an arrangement that's made. Usually it's the parents of the child hand selecting who they want to be the godparents of the child. So just in case something happens, you never know. And so that child then will be cared for by someone who is familiar with the family. So not a stranger, someone who is gonna love that child no matter what. So the idea of a God sponsor is the same kind of idea. You're gonna basically love that recruit even though it's not your own per se. Okay, so that's kind of the idea here. So the reason why this is going to revolutionize the entire industry is that as I look at some of the structure inside of network marketing, I recognize that there's a serious breakdown going on in the pipeline of communication. And when you have a breakdown in the pipeline of communication, it's very easy for people to find themselves feeling alone or feeling disenfranchised or feeling like, you know, they don't have any support. Okay, so the whole idea of a God sponsor is to make sure that everyone has that sensation of having that support and that structure that's there for them to make sure that they get on to a healthy start in their own little business. Okay, so let's take a look at an example of what I'm talking about. We're going to take a look at two trees. Okay, we're going to take a look at the sponsorship tree and a placement tree. Now in this case, we're going to use a 2x whatever structure here. It's a forced matrix for the placement tree. All right. Now let me just touch on for a moment the importance of being ethical. Now I'm going to show you how basically the sponsor is going to connect the God sponsor to their recruit, so that the sponsor can be free to sponsor many, many people and know that the God sponsor will take good care of their recruit. But it's very important that neither the recruit or the God sponsor cross an unethical barrier. Now what I mean by that, I'm specifically talking about cross recruiting. It is unethical to cross recruit no matter which company you're with in the industry. Okay, so if a sponsor, wants to share other business opportunities with their recruit, that's fine. That's not necessarily cross recruiting because the relationship is most sacred. I believe the relationship between a sponsor and a recruit is even more sacred than a recruit and the company. Okay, so the relationship between a sponsor and recruit is the most sacred ground inside of network marketing. So if a sponsor wants to share additional opportunities with the recruit, okay, that's so be it. Okay, if a recruit wants to share other opportunities that they are have available to them with their sponsor, once again, no problem. But it's when either the recruit or the sponsor start to share opportunities with people outside of that sacred ground, where maybe the recruit sharing opportunities with people upline from their sponsor, or the sponsor is sharing opportunities with people down below their recruit or recruits, okay, or in their downline. So understand that is very, very important not to cross that ethical barrier Because what happens when you cross that ethical barrier is it creates distrust. Distrust will create a lot of friction inside of an organization and slow the growth of that organization down significantly. So trust me, whatever you think you may gain by approaching someone that you may now know through the network that you belong to, you're going to lose in time, frustration, and just a whole negativity that goes with cross recruiting. Okay, you're going to lose big time. So do not cross the ethical barrier. Now, I've done several videos on ethics. If you run a clean, ethical business, you're going to find that you're going to be able to go, the speed of grease lightning in building your team. Okay, so look at all the stuff that I do on ethics. Is going to help you grow fast without that unnecessary friction. Okay. Now, if you see unethical behavior, call people out on it and say, "Look, it's going to slow the team down if you're doing that. Stop doing that," and insist on it. Insist that if you come across, you insist on everybody running an ethical business around you as part of your team, sideline, upline, downline, all the way around from you. Okay. So. If you get approached by someone who shouldn't be approaching you about an opportunity, just stop them in their tracks and just say, you know what, let's just stop the conversation right now, because really we shouldn't be talking about other opportunities. That's you and I have a different relationship. We're focused on this particular business. We need to keep focused on this particular business. Let's not talk about anything else. And that's how you put a kibosh on that conversation. It's okay to be open-minded, but you got to be careful who you express that open-mindedness to, because I'm telling you, it's not worth it. There's billions of people on the planet. You can talk to anybody you want, except for situations of cross-recruiting. So I think I've kind of recapped how important it is to remain ethical, because what's going to happen in this idea of God sponsorship is that the sponsor is going to make sure that their recruit gets taken care of by their God sponsor, who had nothing to do with bringing that person into the business. They just happened to be in a position to be classified as a God sponsor. Okay, so now we're looking at here, this is the sponsorship tree. All that is basically, whoever sponsors whoever sponsors whoever. So if Jim sponsors Tom, and Tom sponsors Mary, and Mary sponsors Susie, it goes in that order. So those would be the connections that you see in the sponsorship tree. But in a placement tree, what happens is that the people that come in get rearranged based on the structure of the compensation plan. Now, in this case, we're using I'll just say a 2 by 20 matrix. And basically, if you sponsor more than 3 people, then a third person has to drop down below and be actually connected in the network below somebody else other than yourself. And what that does is that gives a huge benefit to the downline, because now they're actually experiencing some some motivation coming from the upline in the way of having their team grow below them based on the efforts of the upline. That's the beauty of having like a 2 by 20 matrix, is that from the third person on, anybody who sponsors more than 2 people, the rest of those people drop down below and benefit more members of the team more than just the sponsor themselves. Okay, but there's a drawback. And frankly, I haven't really heard of anyone else in the industry really addressing this drawback. That's why I'm telling you, this is going to revolutionize the entire industry, because when people come to understand how important God sponsorship is, everybody's going to want to employ this principle. Okay, so let's just say that let's just go ahead and look at how we laid this out here. Now notice that's you right here. Okay, you show up and you're yellow. Okay, now the first person you sponsor is this person right here, the green. Okay, notice that anybody you personally sponsor, they show up as a color. Okay, and they show up first in the sponsorship tree, and then they show up over in the placement tree afterwards. Okay, so you sponsor this person and they fell here into the placement tree. All right, let's continue. Now notice the second person you sponsor is this this orange or light orange. Okay, so you sponsored them here, and then they show up in the placement tree right here. Now, because it's the first two people, basically it looks the same, okay? It looks the same. The structure looks the same so far. Okay, now, this green person sponsored this white person here, okay? So notice that the white, when they show up, when your teammates sponsor people, they're going to show up first in this illustration on the placement tree, and then they're going to slide over on the sponsorship tree here. Okay, so we shall continue. Okay, so now you've sponsored this pink one here, and this pink one has now fallen below this green one here. Okay, I'm going to continue. Okay, now the orange one sponsors somebody and sponsors another. Okay, now notice that the first person that the orange one sponsored just now sponsored two more people, so it's starting to fill in. And now one of those people has sponsored somebody else. Okay, and now that person has sponsored another person. Okay, now notice here that you sponsored your fourth person, and they're showing up here in this blue color, and that blue one now goes into the next available spot. Now notice that in the 2x2 structure here of the placement tree, the first two spots are taken, the first four spots below those two spots are taken, so now it's going to find the next available spot towards the top and over to the left. So that would naturally be right here on the far left. That's why this blue one shows up below the white one that the green person sponsored. So the green person sponsored the white person, and you sponsored the blue person that falls now below the white person. Okay, now you sponsored a yellow person, and he's there sidelined to the blue person. And then that yellow person sponsored two people. Now you sponsored your next person, they're purple. So notice that orange and purple, you sponsored orange and you sponsored purple, and they fall below this pink guy over here. We have kind of two shades of orange here. I'm going to call this one here the orange, and then this will be dark orange. And now the orange sponsors a couple of people, and now the dark orange sponsored a couple of people. Now notice that the dark person is the sponsor. You can see that over here in the sponsorship tree, but notice where those two people fell. They fell below someone that was that came in before. Okay, so dark blue just popped up and now also got two recruits, and red popped up and has put in two recruits. Okay, so now you can start to see more sponsoring going on. Watch this. You'll see green will sponsor two people, and it'll show up below this purple guy. Okay, so now we see here orange has sponsored two people, filling up the two people on the bottom row there. Now watch this part here. This is where green's going to sponsor two people, and they're going to show up below this purple guy here. Okay, so now there you have it. Now, as you notice, as this grew, it was kind of messy, okay? Because it didn't. There was no uniformity to how this was growing. All you know is that in the placement tree, the rule is, in the case of a 2x20 forced matrix, it's going to fill up first at the top, and then towards the left side, and then go from top to bottom, from left to right. But as far as sponsorship tree, everybody's out there sponsoring, so there is no rhyme or rhythm to, or pattern that you can necessarily follow what happens in a sponsorship tree. So as people just do their thing out there when it comes to network marketing, whatever happens, it's going to show up following the rules of the placement tree. Okay, but what happened in the process here is that you can see now that if this was you've personally sponsored 9 people. Now imagine this. Let's say you have a job, full-time job. Let's say you have a family and children, and let's say that you also have a church organization or a civic organization that you're very busy with as well. You're busy, okay? This network marketing business is something that you're doing on the side. It's not necessarily your full-time income to start, okay? Because network marketing organizations, they start out small and the income is small at first, but then they grow and they get to a point where there's enough income coming in from a network marketing organization that you could replace a full-time job because the income is now equal to or exceeding that of a full-time job. But in so many cases, we see breakdown in the organization of a network marketing group, and then it never gets beyond that point of being small. It just remains small, and then it will shatter or it will disintegrate. Now we see that so often in the industry. Let me show you why. The reason for that is because you have all this breakdown going on in the development of the placement tree. Okay, so for example, this person right here, they may not know who these two people are right here, okay, because they didn't sponsor them. They came from upline, and all they know is they can see their names down below them, but they have no contact information. See, companies rarely share that information unless you personally sponsor someone. As far as contact information goes, you're not going to get any contact information. Companies tend to keep that to themselves, okay? So you can't count on the company providing you the information of the people that are below you, even if they're right below you, even if they're on your first level. You're not going to have their contact information. All you know is you see a couple of names there, you're excited, hey, you got people, but you don't have any way of communicating with them. That's because the company is not sharing that information. That's typical of all companies, okay? Now, if the sponsor of that person looks down and sees that they've sponsored somebody that went below somebody else that they sponsored, then now they can naturally connect those people to their other person that they sponsored. So this dark orange guy could introduce their recruit here to their two newest recruits here, and that way this guy can play the role of a God sponsor. Okay, so that's what I mean by a God sponsor. So now, if you're busy, you got 9 people here, okay, what's going to be easier, taking care of 9 people or taking care of 2 people? Okay, it's easier to take care of 2 people. Like I said, if you had a job, a family, and a busy life to begin with, and you want to make sure that everybody is plugged in and doing what they're supposed to do, and staying abreast of everything that's going on with the company and the products and the services and all that. Okay, well, it's going to be important that there's communication going on. What happens when there's a lack of communication is people start to feel like they're alone in their business. They start to feel like they're not getting support in their business. And people that feel that way tend to quit. That's just a natural thing that happens in this industry. Okay, now I would like to see us minimize that. I want people to feel like they're getting full support and they're getting a lot of help from their team, so that they feel like they're part of a family. And when people feel that way, they're not likely to quit because they feel like it's just a matter of time, and that small little business is going to turn into a big business, and they're going to be able to have the financial freedom that they're seeking, which is what they got in the business in the first place, to attain that financial freedom. So it's very, very simple. You, as a sponsor, and you're the sponsor of all 9 of these, you would need to connect each one of the people that you sponsored to the person that is the God sponsor, okay? So if you sponsored somebody, in the case right here, if you see on this 3rd level, you've got the light blue, the yellow, the orange, the purple, the blue, and the red. Okay, all of these people are going to be very, very important that you connect them to their God sponsor, but there's only one of them that you sponsored, this pink guy here. If you look at the second level, the pink guy is the only one that you sponsored. So that means that you're going to have to develop a relationship with these other people so that you can share the information with the contact information of these people that are coming in down below. Okay? Super, super important. All right, so just to make this very, very clear in this 2x20 matrix example, okay? The God sponsor is the person directly above you in the matrix, okay? So whoever you're connected to inside of the 2x20 matrix, that would be your God sponsor, okay? Now, everybody has the opportunity to be a God sponsor of 2 in a 2x20 matrix. So the 2 people directly below you, you are their God sponsor. Okay, so let me put this into a very practical situation for you. I'm going to bring up a spreadsheet that we're going to use here at 60-Second Millionaire Secrets to track the development of the team and make sure that everybody's doing certain key things that will increase momentum. What we're looking at here is the God Sponsor 2x5 matrix tracking form. The idea here is that we want to instill the principle of God sponsorship into the first 5 levels below each person. Okay? So that's the levels of 2, 4, 8, 16, and 32. Okay, so that adds up to a total of about 62 people total that are below you. So if the 62 people on the first 5 levels below you are all doing what they're supposed to do to create momentum, guess what? You're going to have momentum. That's very exciting. Now, here's what we're looking at. This is you. So I'm going to go ahead and type in the word you into this spot here. Okay, so this is you. Okay, so now if you go over to the tracking sheet, click here, notice that you showed up right there. Okay. Now we'll go back to the 2x5 matrix. And then this is the first person that's below you. Let's say you sign up Tom. So put Tom right here, in here, and then notice when you do that, you go to the tracking sheet, and Tom shows up right here automatically in the first spot there. There's only 2 spots below you, so let's go back to the 2x5 matrix. Let's say you sign up Mary here. And then you'll notice that when you go to the tracking sheet, that Mary shows up in that second spot there. All right, and so on. So as you use this, the name of the person is going to go in this column B, okay? So there's the first 2 people on the first level, then there's 4 people, so you see 1, 2, 3, 4 on next, and then you see it goes 1 through 8, that's the 3rd level, and then it goes 1 through 16, that's the 4th level, and it goes 1 through 32, and that would be your 5th level. That's 25% of the levels in your 2x20 matrix in 60-Second Millionaire Secrets. Now, we're going to use colors. So let me show you the color grid here. Now, white is for non-members, okay? It could also be for people who become inactive or unqualified. So if they're unqualified, then that would also be white, okay? And then the next one is a qualified member. That means you've signed them up and they've been current. They're made their monthly payment of the $10. So 3 plus 7, the $10. Okay, that makes them a qualified member. That would make them red. So let's make you red in this example. So now you're starting your matrix out as a qualified member of your matrix. Now when you signed up Tom, we'll make Tom red, same thing, and then we'll make Mary red. Okay, so that takes care of the first of the colors, red. The next one is green, okay? This is if you've sponsored 2 or more people. So if you've sponsored 2 or more people, or if you've purchased some recruits from Panor Recruiters, then that's 2 or more, because the smallest order is 2. So that would make the color go green. So let's go ahead and change you now to green now that you've sponsored Tom and Mary. Okay, so now you're green. Now, what you want to do is you want to fill up this entire matrix, this 2x5 matrix, and get everybody to be green, okay, for sure. Now, they have to either sponsor 2 people, or they have to make a purchase through Panor Recruiters before they can go to the next color. The next color, and the last of the colors, is yellow. Now, yellow, if you go back to the tracking form, okay, it's right here you'll see, it says date, habit was formed, making comments. So if we're going to use a date, we'd say it's June 14th, 2014. Okay, so that's a date. So in this column G, where it says date, habit was formed, making comments, that's a date column. You're going to put a date into that column. Now, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to set up a folder onto your desktop that is called God Sponsorship. Okay? When it comes to doing the daily comments, which is vital to the energy of the whole operation, and it really fuels the momentum of our team for 66 Millionaire Secrets to make daily comments, then you want to get your team into the practice of making those comments every single day. Okay? Even if they just spend 5 minutes a day doing great, and not putting much more time than that into it, at least they're putting some positive energy into that wall, which helps fuel the whole operation. They could put great, they could put awesome, they could put fantastic, they could put super. It could be just a 1-word comment, and you can mix it up, go great, super, fantastic, awesome, incredible, fantastic, cool, neat, you know what I'm saying? You could do that, and there's only about 20 comments a day that you would need to do to keep up with the flow. Okay, that wouldn't take more than 5 minutes to do, just 1 word. Although we really do prefer a little more thought going into the comments, in something that's relevant to what the post says. But if you're short on time, okay, at least do the 1-word comment and like it. Like it and comment. And you want to get your entire team in the habit of doing this. It's not so good that you yourself are doing it as much as it is you and your team are all doing it. Now, if you have you plus 62 people in the first 5 generations all in the habit of doing this, then you have an achievement here. You have really built something that's a ball of energy, really super positive energy. And you know that your team has no excuses for not getting updated, not knowing what's happening, because everything that happens is posted onto that wall of joy, as we call it. So that's what this is. You put the date here when the habit was formed. So you want to keep a folder on your desktop, and this is for the 2 people that are right below you that you're their God sponsor. They need to do a screen capture of them making at least 1 comment per day. Okay? At least 1 comment. Now, the 1 comment is just a sampling of the effort that they made in commenting on everything. So they're going to comment on everything, all 20 posts that day, but they're just going to take 1 screenshot and they're going to send it to you in Facebook as an image. And you're going to take that image and put it into a folder under their name, under that date that they sent it to you. And then you can just have folders inside of folders on your desktop to keep track of how well the habit is being formed. So if the 2 people right below you that you're their God sponsor, have a strong habit going, and you teach them to do likewise, and you use this tracking tool that's 5 levels deep and ask them to pass that information down, then you can do an inquiry with those people to say, okay, so are your people keeping up with this? And then they can tell you yes, and they can tell you what date the habit was formed. And what you want to do is you want to fill up this entire column G with dates. Dates the habits being formed. Now you're not going to get screenshots from all 62 people. You're only going to get screenshots from 2, but you're going to communicate with those 2, and they're going to communicate with their 2, and in turn each are going to communicate with the 2 below them, and then the information of who's formed the habit is going to come back up the line to you, so you can then color them out. Okay, so when you color them out, they're ultimately going to turn yellow. So for example, Tom, we can now turn Tom yellow. He's got the habit of making those comments every day. All right, and I would track this for a while, you know, at least a month. I track that for at least a month. Make sure that you know, your 2 people have no excuses. You're the God sponsor them. They absolutely have proven to you they can do something every day. They can do something consistently, and they're excited about becoming, you know, millionaires. You know, most likely they're contestants at this stage in the game. They're contestants on the reality show, and with the intent of becoming a millionaire using this whole system. Okay, so you want to make sure that they're doing what it requires of them in order to achieve that status, that millionaire status, because it's not going to happen just by itself. If everybody just waits for everybody to do everything for them, then nothing ever gets done by anyone. Okay, so we have to have accountability built into our structure. Now, I've said this before, a lot of this is about leadership development. Leadership is a big part of you know, building large teams, and the simplest way to break down leadership is assignment and report. So a leader gives an assignment, and the follower or whatever gives a report back on how they completed the assignment. So by the people that is sending the screenshots up to their God sponsor, they're reporting back with proof that they actually did complete the task. And that way the God sponsor doesn't have to sit there and scour through the entire Facebook wall looking for the comments of those 2 people. Okay, all they've got to do is just count on the fact that the people that they're training, you know, they're giving the assignment that they're going to watch this video that explains how to do this, and then they're going to follow the instructions on this video, and then send screenshots back to them every single day for at least a month until you know that habit is solid and you know, and it's been formed very, very well. Okay, so when you get done, it's going to go from red to green to yellow. So ultimately, and it cannot go from green to yellow unless they have either sponsored 2 people or they have made a purchase. Okay, so even if they're doing comments every day, if they have not done the sponsoring, which is creating that momentum, or made a purchase, which is going to create that momentum, if they have not done that, they would remain red, right? They would remain red, and they would not be green. Even if they're making comments, they would not be made yellow. It's very, very important that the colors go in order. It's an achievement scale. Okay, they achieved signing up, that's red. They've achieved you know, signing up 2 people or making a purchase, so now they've got green. And they've achieved forming the habit of making daily comments. Now they've achieved yellow. So when this is all full, when all 62 of those people below you are showing up yellow, wow, you've got yourself a real ball of energy there that you're going to experience personal momentum in this team. Okay, so the company is experiencing some momentum already, but we want each individual teammate out there on the team to experience their own momentum. Okay, and I know that when you hold people accountable and when you treat this as a serious business, that you're going to get serious results. And with that, that's a wrap.